What's going on, everybody? Trading in a simulator is a waste of time.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Today, we're going to discuss why I think so. We will also be discussing how in the past 2 weeks, I have ended up in the red and the effects that's had on my overall mindset.
Strong men also cry.
This will be particularly relevant this week, as in this episode, the stakes are higher than ever. For if I go in the red again, it will push my account balance below the minimum to trade on margin.
Yes, you're wrong. This isn't a game, man.
Oh, but it is a game. You said so yourself.
Finally, we'll wrap up this week's episode with a more technical, in-depth look at this week's trades. If you're new here, I'm Jordan, and this is Degenerate Candlesticks. When doing research on day trading, you will often come across one common piece of advice, and that is to start in a simulator. In my opinion, that is 100% a waste of time. Conceptually, trading is one of the easiest things to learn.
Where's the money, Lebowski? You want that money, Lebowski? Bunny says you're good for it. Where's the money, Lebowski?
If you expect the stock price to go up, you want to buy low and sell high. If you want to short the stock, you sell at a higher price and buy back at a lower price. Not too complicated. However, 90% of day traders will fail. And of the 10% that do succeed in becoming profitable, their average return is only 4%. So by those numbers alone, you should be able to tell that day trading is not easy. So why do so many people fail? One word: emotions. In the past 2 weeks, I lost roughly $300 and haven't thought about anything since. It's not even that large a sum of money. Hell, I used to drink that much almost every weekend. But what does bother me is the emotional failure. Personally, I see failure as a challenge and almost an insult to what I know I'm capable of. It's from greed and fear that failure is born. And ultimately, that's why I've ended up red in the past 2 weeks.
Excuse me?
It's greed when you see the candlesticks break over the upper Bollinger Band and still buy in anyway. It's fear when you sell your position only to watch it rebound directly after. These are the things you don't learn how to manage when using a simulator. It doesn't matter how much money is involved, the fact that it's involved is enough to make traders fail. Society has taught us that we need money in order to be successful. So anytime we lose money, it triggers us on an almost primal level.
You mind if I do it, Jay?
But let's see how well I can handle my emotions with this episode's trades. Just before we continue, if you're enjoying this content, if you could do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it, as it really helps out the channel. But with that, let's get back to it. After perusing the scanners, I ended up settling on JTAI. I got in with 100 shares at $2.31. I held the position for literally 3 seconds and ended up selling at $2.34, netting $2.37 profit.
Our troubles are over, dude.
If I would have held on for any longer, this could have been a rough execution. However, I got the feeling JTAI wasn't done yet, as it looked like it was going to continue going up, so I got ready for another trade. I ended up purchasing another 100 shares with an average fill price of roughly $2.56. I probably should have just held my first position longer, but hindsight is 20/20. As soon as I opened my position, it crossed the upper Bollinger Band, and I felt a drop in my stomach as I diligently watched as the price dropped as well. It looked like this was going to be my third week making the same mistake. I ended up selling at $2.32, taking roughly $24 in losses, bringing my total profit loss on the day to $22.02.
He's cracking.
It looks like I still haven't learned my lesson.
Walter?
Come on, dude. Hey, good man.
Or is this a brand new learning opportunity altogether? Let's take a deeper dive and take a look. For my first trade on JTAI, I narrowly got out with some profit. But if we take a look at the volume average, we can see during this time there actually weren't a lot of shares being traded. At the time of purchase, there had only been roughly 80,000 shares traded, where during the previous candle, there were almost 500,000. It was significantly lower than the average, and in hindsight, it should have given me a hint as to the oncoming sell-off. So while the trade was risky, the execution overall wasn't great. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. So for this trade, I'm going to give myself 4 out of 5 stars. My second trade, however, wasn't as clean. I bought in as it crossed the upper Bollinger Band, which I know from the past 2 weeks is never a good entry point. So I'm making the same mistake for the third week in a row. The second mistake I may have made is by selling right away. As it crossed the $half mark, a sell-off or micro pullback should be expected. However, after I sold, it jumped back to almost my entry level. So the question I have for myself is it better to sell early and cut the losses, or hold on to see where the price goes? If I would have held on longer, could I have turned this into a profitable position? These are the questions I've been continuously asking myself for the past 2 weeks. But this is a topic for another episode. If you're interested in hearing more about this topic, let me know down in the comment section below. But for this trade, I can only give myself 3 out of 5 stars. Just as a quick reminder before we continue, if you're enjoying this content, if you could do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it, as it really helps out the channel. But with that, let's continue.
I like your style, dude.
So once again, I end the week in the red.
Dude, let's go bold.
Which unfortunately has put me below the marginal minimum. With this being my third red week in a row, I'm gonna have to take some time to think about my plan of attack for next week.
That's a great plan, Walter. That's genius, if I understand it correctly.
And while I know the situation can be frustrating, this is just part of the game.
This could be a lot more complex. I mean, it's not just, it might not be just such a simple, you know?
But that'll wrap up this week's episode. But before we do, I want you to ask yourself, how much money are you willing to lose for financial freedom? Do you think trading in a simulator can actually help? Let me know down in the comment section below. I'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one.
Where you going, dude?
Going home, Donnie.
Phone's ringing, dude.
Thank you, Donnie.